back once again on Davos Direct, presented by Audi. Let's quickly get on to a lot of damage that had been done by, say, a GAR issue. Mr. Kamalnath, GAR, nobody denies it, a lot of damage. That damage has been undone. It has been deferred till 2016. The question then is, and also there are amicable talks happening with Vodafone. Do you think all of this put together will be able to spur investment climate, will be able to get investment back on track, will be able to revive investment?
Well, yes, of course, there is. It's very much there that there were certain steps taken which dampened the mood. But those steps government is alive to, and government recognized that these need to be changed because they are setting a wrong tone. So these are now being addressed, and I think this will only add to greater impetus in confidence in India.
All right, greater impetus and confidence in India. Those are words that were not spoken about 4 months back. Those are words that are beginning to come back into the genre as we speak, and it's good to see that happen. Mr. Piramal, the government has decided to defer GAR. This was giving investors across the world and even in India sleepless nights. Do you think this is going to be a big sentiment booster?
So to some extent, there were several issues which unnerved foreign investors. Whether it was GAR, whether it was a retrospective tax, whether it was the fact that the approvals were not being taken, or the fact that so many approvals that were given were taken back. So it's a combination of all this which resulted in foreign investors and in fact Indian investors getting worried. We still, this is a step in the right direction, but as we discussed before, a lot more has to be still done.
That's a very valid point, and I think everybody in India keeps talking about how investments will spur only when approvals come in faster and those bureaucratic hurdles are taken care of. I think the government is working on some of those. But Mr. Minister, it all boils down to the fact that a lot of sentiment-boosting measures have been taken. Of course, you've taken very tough calls on things like diesel deregulation eventually. But what will really revive growth? Because I think it's growth that is giving everybody else around the world sleepless nights, including India, including policymakers here in New Delhi.
Well, we've got to ensure that our rural demand, our domestic market, the rural demand remains stimulated. We've got to insist, because that is the biggest demand factor in the country. And it's not only domestic demand driven, but domestic rural demand driven. That is going to be the story of the future.
I'll be running out of time, and which is why my last leg of questions to all you people there on this panel. Mr. Piramal, the question really is, we were talking about cautious optimism. Is India Inc. more confident in 2013 than in 2012?
2013 is definitely more optimistic. The markets are also showing that there's a much more optimism. The market is reaching its all-time highs. So I personally am optimistic, and I feel today is better than last year. I think the markets are really running ahead of reality, and it's not as rosy as the markets make it out to be, the economy.
All right, not as rosy as the markets make it out to be, according to Ajay Piramal, but he's still cautiously optimistic. Nainalal Kidwai, do you go into Davos with the sentiment that yes, we are cautiously optimistic, yes, we are happy about our growth, we are proud about what we've done, we made mistakes in the past, but we are undoing them, come back and invest in India?
Absolutely, I think you said it. So yes, it is to ensure that the same rah-rah feeling that we had about India in Davos a couple of years ago is not lost. And yes, our growth at 8% is down. But, you know, if you really look at any of the research houses on the street, or indeed the government's own projections, everybody is projecting India going back to 8%.
I'll let the minister on the panel have the last word. Mr. Kamalnath, the fact is that your government took a lot of flack for policy paralysis, but yes, decisions are beginning to be made, and it's heartening to see that happen. You are, of course, entrusted with the task of breaking political log jams, which you will perhaps do in Parliament. Do we run the risk of politics stalling the reform agenda?
I don't see parliamentary politics really coming the way. Obviously, it will be a big challenge to put everything together, because we got a very fragmented parliament, we got a very fragmented polity. But India has demonstrated that it grows despite the politics.
So that's a cautiously optimistic Minister talking India grows despite the politics. It is a challenge and it will be up to him to resolve it in Parliament. We've set the agenda as far as Davos is concerned. We thank our eminent panel for being with us and discussing the story that India has to offer the world. We now see you next from Davos on Davos Direct, presented by Audi, only on ET Now.